As Power Rangers grows or grew certain things would have to change to make the story move forward. You can't change the main events. Tommy and Kat getting married, living their life together, Wes and Eric fighting in Time Force, Zato becoming a morphing master, etc, etc. We know that Zato and Ion were on Earth for millions of years, so when going through Mighty Morphing, we knew that Zordon and Alpha knew of other Rangers. I feel like mainly this was never really touched upon because they might have made this into a future event. But I do think that Zordon and Alpha actually knew all the other Rangers. We all know about the Wild West Rangers and the events leading to this. If Zordon didn't bring the original Rangers, then maybe these events wouldn't have actually happened. Although Jason, Zach and Trini actually didn't need to be there, only say Adam, Rocky and Aisha, as what we know now, they are still the original holders of the MMPR powers, mainly the ones back in the Wild West Rangers. Now, I kind of think that Zordon knew about Time Force, but why didn't Zordon actually contact any of the other Rangers? From what I kind of gathered, there are only a few teams as well as singular Rangers on their own. All these Rangers would be the Dino Fury Rangers, aka Zato and Ion. You have the Alien Rangers, the Gold Zeo Ranger, and Andros and maybe Zane. But these are the only ones that I could think of. If you know any of the other Rangers that would have been around about the time, let me know down below in the comments and let's discuss this. One thing I'm curious to know is why didn't Zordon reach out to say the Alien Rangers? When we're introduced to the Alien Rangers, they're fighting the Hydro Hog. But before that, what were they doing? Were they just defeating monsters all the way through? Or were they just kind of waiting in case people attack them? Who knows? We know that Trey would have been there because we know that he goes to Aquitar, or maybe people thought he was part of Aquitar or something like that. But at least we know that Trey would have been around at the same time. So the main thing is, why didn't Zordon and Alpha call them before selecting Jason and the rest? The Alien Rangers would be able to take down Rita quicker. With the Gold Zeo Ranger on their side, hell, that'd be done really quickly. You also wouldn't have the hydration problem that faced in Power Rangers when like the Hydro Hog took all the bodies of water on Earth, you know, and you wouldn't have the thing of going back in time as well. You literally would have all these people helping to take down Rita really quickly. Trey wouldn't have been splitting as well, so you'd have an entire powerhouse to absolutely destroy Rita. Even if, say, Zordon actually brought in Jason and the rest, then you would have had the Core 5 team, the Alien Rangers, and then the Gold Zeo Ranger. It would have been a much easier job to get it all done rather than just like take a couple of years for the MMPR Rangers to at least do a bit of damage to Rita and then later on Zed. With all of this, it would have definitely been some teamwork. Now, I get that you wouldn't have been able to have a story about it and it would just be a bit and you know, and all of this is kind of like fan service, but technically a way of having more Rangers with Zords, you know, would have definitely have been way better. It might have made everything go smoother and we wouldn't have had much trouble. One thing I never get mainly is why the other Rangers don't turn up to help. If we were to add in the Space Rangers, I would say that they would probably come and help around about Zeo. Maybe at a push season 3 of Mighty Morphing, or maybe the Alien Rangers. Maybe it's around about that time, but they could have come in and helped and gotten some fights. And if it was set around about Zeo, then at least you could have had them help fighting Mondo at the very end. I generally think it would have been really cool to see the Zeo Rangers and Andros and Zane to kind of help out. And what would have been cool if the Zeo Rangers were helping out Andros at times. Again, that would be absolutely fantastic to see. I know they wouldn't have thought about this at the time, but mainly I think it would be something cool to think about. My main question was, would Zordon and Alpha know about all these Rangers? I would say that Zordon would know about every single Ranger. We know that he definitely knows about the Alien Rangers because they say that in the series, but I generally think that he would know every single Ranger. Mainly because he is in a time warp, so Zordon could look into the past, the present, and the future. So yeah, maybe he knows all the Rangers, maybe he gets in contact with them, but he can't really kind of interfere or bring them to Earth because it would interrupt time and that's something you really don't want to do. Or maybe at least he could see them and not interact, so he knows there are other Rangers but again won't get in contact with them because he doesn't want to fuck up time. But I generally kind of think that, you know, when the Rangers don't do something, he's like, man, I fucking wish Andros was here, man, I really wish like the Time Force Rangers would step in, just something like that to kind of like add a little bit more oomph to it. But yeah, I generally think Zordon and Alpha knew about all the other Rangers Rangers, past, present, and future. But yeah, what are your thoughts on this? Do you think exactly the same, or do you think that Zordon and Alpha just knew about the alien Rangers? Let me know down below in the comments, and let's get this discussion going. Thank you very much for listening and watching. If you want to check out the Patreon or the channel memberships, then that would be absolutely great to help support the channel. I am going to leave it there. May the power protect you, and I'll catch you in the next video. I want to say a big thank you to all my Patreon supporters, and I wanted to shout out Kimono Cat. Your help goes a long way to help support the channel, and if you want to help support the channel, the links to my Patreon and channel memberships are listed below in the description.
あらあら、チャンネルをサポートしてくれてありがとうございます。チャンネル登録、高評価お願いします。以下のリンクから商品を入手することができます。